title made television history by becoming the most watched homegrown show we've ever had. In the first 4 years alone, there was more than 200 million votes cast for the contestants, with many of the winners of the series going on to platinum or even gold albums, and some of them even going on to the famed Juno Awards. I'm so confident that you all know the pretense of the show that I really don't even need to explain to you tonight what it was all about, even though many of you may have never even watched it. Then you might be a little bit surprised by the fact that in the recent Canada Day survey that was conducted and published by Maclean's magazine, that the majority of Canadians couldn't name even one of the past winners of this hit reality series show. Tonight, though, I have a few other idols for you to think about. How many Canadian Olympians can you name off the top of your head? How many movies that have won at Cannes can you name? But how many of you can name the teacher that most influenced your life? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and very welcome guests. Tonight, I would like to talk about Paul Haynes, author, athlete, artist, and my grade 12 French teacher. What would you think if you read tomorrow in the Toronto Star about a contest where the second prize was a 2-week vacation to Fenwick Falls, and the first prize was a 1-week vacation to Fenwick Falls? Most of you would dismiss that as a simple misprint, which is what it was. But luckily for the students at the local high school, Paul Haynes didn't. A town this bad, he said, he had to see for himself. And he ended up moving there with his family shortly thereafter. Paul was born in Vassar, Michigan in 1932. And family trips to Saginaw in the late 1940s resulted in him being very influenced by the rhythm and blues bands that were starting to play there. Music and sound became his lifelong passion. And by the early 1960s, he had settled in Lower West Side Manhattan, in an area you all know now as Ground Zero. But in those days, it was Radio Row, a vibrant neighborhood of mostly old brick buildings with cheap rents and huge spaces, which were ideal for the population of artists and musicians that had immigrated there. After 5 p.m., when the business community evacuated the area for the day, it came alive with jam sessions, all-night recording sessions for the people like Paul who lived there. By 1966, Paul and his good friend, jazz legend Carla Bley, had begun work on what would eventually become the world's first jazz opera, the epic Elevator Over the Hill. When the show was finally finished and toured Europe, Paul loved showing everyone a clip from a local newspaper article in the town where he had grown up. The headline beamed, "Local athlete writes opera." He had been a champion runner in his youth. By the time I met Paul in the 1990s, though, he had traveled the world. He had worked with literally hundreds of different jazz musicians and had numerous writing and production credits to his name. Of course, none of us had any idea about this secret past life that he had. To us, he was the cool teacher who did up the ads for the radio club in school with clever slogans such as, "Be there or be television." In retrospect, those kind of things really beamed through his love of word plays and playing with word associations. Another one I found out recently is his poem, "Seeking Drops," where the one line is, "Bees bumble the routine." His sense of humor was shown in other ways, such as when he always used to tell students that if they did badly on a test, just assign someone else's name. Or in his poem, "Don't Tell Me to Shut Up," which has only one line, "Shut up." You probably saw that coming. What made Paul Haynes the topic of my speech, though, tonight, is that he was a fantastic teacher. We learned French by reading Sartre, and he taught us the importance of speaking the good French accent by things like Saturday Night Live clips that he brought in. Paul Haynes taught us about glimpses of ourselves by showing how the rest of the world saw them and saw us. In the videos and songs that he played for us in class, he challenged our views on things like what was music, what was art, what was talent, and even what was real. In February of 2003, I was living overseas when I got an email from my mother to tell me that Paul Haynes had passed away. I think that it was that moment when I fully realized what a profound effect he had had on me, but as well on everyone else who I communicated with, and it became obvious how much he had touched our lives. Some tributes to him have been published alongside some of his poetry, and tonight I'd like to read one of his short poems for you, which he wrote near the end of his life. It's called Canadian Poem, and it's written all in caps. The summer has aged, and I'm getting dark earlier and earlier. Then he's written in brackets, now in Newfoundland. Don't you wish the world had more idols like Paul?